although I became a chartered accountant. But in class 11th, in my mathematics exam, I had a compartment. So I failed in mathematics. So for the first 2-3 years, I was literally at that stage that will I be able to survive? Your perseverance, your hard work will never go waste, is what I can promise you. If I have achieved this, being a guy who had as a compartment in class 11th, as a failure in that, luck will come to you at the right time. So the story goes, I think it was the year 1994, where I was totally focused on one goal in life, and that was to become a chartered accountant. And no one in my family, like my father or grandfather, was a chartered accountant. So, I just had one goal in mind, कि मुझे CA बनना ही है, I have to become a CA. And it was one of these family holidays that we had gone to Shimla, if I remember correctly. And I had a chance to stroll down near the Mall Road, and there was an astrologer sitting there on the roadside. And as every inquisitive kid, I went to him and I sat with him. And I said, Babaji, I'm pursuing a very important course in my life, और मैं जानना चाहूँगा कि मेरा क्या होने वाला है. So I showed him my hand, and he looked at my hand. After a couple of minutes of discussing with me and talking to me, he finally says, कि बेटा, there's something which is not good news for you. आप CA नहीं बनेंगे. And for me, it was a very heartbreaking story. I remember going upstairs to my room, and my sister was there, and she said, "What happened?" And I said, "मुझे एक पंडित जी मिले और उन्होंने बोला कि I'm not going to become a CA." And she took it on a lighter note, and she said, "What are you saying? Do you think that an astrologer or pandit ji can dictate your life?" And I think that was the moment that I realized that no, I will become a chartered accountant. And at the age of 22, I became a chartered accountant. I was amongst the younger CAs in India at that point of time. Thank you. And उस एक घटना से, और from that one situation, I realized that if there is something that you really want, and if you have that belief in you, I think there's nothing that can stop you. The most important thing is having that self-belief and obviously working towards that goal. Friends, let me introduce myself. My name is Kapil Malhotra. I'm the founder and managing director of Total Solutions Group, which is a consulting and advisory company. I started this company in 1998. Just दिन मैं CA बना, the day I became a chartered accountant, I started this company of my own without having a single client. I started on my dining table at home. I used to be in a 2-bedroom flat without having a single client. I was my own secretary. I was my own PN. And I was also the managing director of my own company without having a single client. My mother was kind enough, and she said that don't worry, you can file my income tax return, and you can file your Masiji's income tax return. And I thankfully said, of course, I would do that, but you're not my clients. So I think that is when the journey started. And today, when I fast forward 20 years from 1998 to 2018 now, we have more than 9,500 people in the company today. We spread across the entire country. We also work in other markets like the Middle East. We work in the Southeast Asian markets and other countries throughout the Indian subcontinent. So we have grown from a one-man organization to a huge ecosystem of partners, of collaborators across the entire Asian region. CA ka course is a very tough course, for the reason being that it's one of those programs and one of those courses where, along with your study of those 3 or 4 years, whilst you're studying and giving exams, you also have to do your internship or your articleship at an organization. So you have to study for those 3-4 years, and you also have to work. So I remember my routine used to be 10 to 6 used to be at my firm, and I used to go to corporates, and we used to do audits. And before I used to go to my work, In the morning, there used to be our accounting class or our taxation class from morning 6 to 10. And in the evening, we used to have another class from 6 to 10. So invariably, what used to happen is you had to miss your last 1 hour of your class because you had to reach on time for your work. And if you were late for work, obviously that was not a good thing. Similarly, in the evening, you had to finish your work on time and catch up for your evening class. And that is how your routine used to be. So invariably, you used to feel that you were always sleep deprived. But I think the good thing that chartered accountancy brought out of me is what I feel. And this is also a message for fellow aspirants who are doing their chartered accountancy or anyone who's doing any particular course in the country today, is that the ability to multitask is what I felt chartered accountancy taught me. That in the morning you do your class, then you have to work hard, and in the evening again you have to do your class again, and then you have to revise and you have to remember everything, and then you have to perform in your exam again. Even if you don't know the answer, and that is what I teach to my little guy as well, even if you don't know the answer, never say, I don't know. Try to attempt something, write something, think something, visualize something, imagine something, even if it is wrong. Don't give up. At that time, when I was completing my chartered accountancy, the result used to be the most torrid moment. The night before your result, obviously you couldn't sleep. And me and one of my friends, we used to have this pact that he would go and look at my result. At that time, the results never used to be out on the internet that you could just go and log in and look at what your results were. So this friend of mine, and that was a time, mind you, that mobiles were not also present. So this friend of mine, he was a good omen for me, or he used to bring good luck for me. So he would go and look at the result. He was also doing his chartered accountancy. So in the finals, when he went to look at his result, I was sitting next to my landline, and he calls up, and I pick up the phone rings, and my heart is beating. And he says, "Hey Kapil, main pass ho gaya." And he keeps the phone down. And I'm like, and my mom is, "Kya hua?" And I'm like, I don't know. I mean, he just said that he passed his exam. And she said, "Yeah, but what did he say about you?" And I was like, he didn't say anything. And obviously, I didn't know what to call back. There was no callback number. So what I did is that I called his home. So his mom picked up the phone, and I said, "Auntie ji, hi, Kapil here." And she said, "Yeah, Ashish has cleared the exam, and what is your result?" So I said, "That's what I'm asking," because he called me, he told that he has cleared the exam, but he didn't tell me about my result. And she was like, "Oh." And my heart is beating. I'm like, "Did he tell something about my result?" And she said, "No, he didn't." And I was like, "Oh my God, oh my God." I didn't know what to do. So the only thing that I had to do is that I had to go to the institute and go and check my own results. So I kept the phone down. By the time I was getting ready, I get another phone call. And I pick up the phone. And my friend says, "Hey, by the way, I forgot to tell you, you also cleared your exam." And I was like, "Oh my God, you could have told me this earlier." But I'll tell you what happened. The moment I got to know that I cleared my exam, I realized that I was a chartered accountant. And for me, that was one of the most biggest occasions for me. It was that was my dream for the last 4 or 5 years. Ki mujhe CA banna hai, mujhe CA banna hai, I have to become a chartered accountant. But interestingly, what happened at that moment, I realized that though the institute had given me a degree and had announced that I have become a chartered accountant, I was the same Kapil Malhotra. My hairstyle was the same. I was the same guy. Nothing really changed. It was just that someone said, "Yes, now you are CA Kapil Malhotra." And I think the night before, which I could not sleep that well, I think the next 2 or 3 nights, I actually couldn't sleep too well, because now the focus was back on me and myself. What do I do next? And I wanted to do something of my own, and I wanted to do something different. So one of the challenges that came to me is that how do I expand? How do I grow? And being at that young age of 22 years and a few months, the biggest challenge was that why would a client give me work? And why would they take me seriously? So without having a single client, I started becoming my own secretary. I would start fixing my own appointments. I would start cold calling. I would start going for meetings. I would start waiting for people for meetings. And again, people asking me, "What is your experience? Which clients do you have?" How much work have you done in the past? What is your team? What are your existing clients? To which everywhere the answer was zero, 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 or nothing, 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 or not yet, not yet, not yet, not yet. And then I realized that just becoming a chartered accountant was not enough. Actually, having the tenacity, having the strong will, having that element of survival is what I felt was very, very critical. So, for the first 2, 3 years, I was literally at that stage that will I be able to survive? And this is where there was one thing that was always working for me, which I want to share with all of you. So, we all have these dreams and these goals and, these things that we want to have this car at this age, this house at this age, or I want to become a CA at this age, or whatever goals that we all have. But I hope you all will agree with me that despite having all those goals, whenever you put a goal in mind or a desire or something that you want to achieve, that picture is always a little hazy. Why is it hazy? Because it is not in your hand. Since it is not in your hand, you can't see it that clearly. So I created something in me or something behind me that will make me wake up every day on time, that will put a discipline in my life, that will put a routine in my life, and that element of hard work. So what I did, or how I would like to explain it in an easier way, is through a visual example. If let's say you're standing on the top of a cliff, and there's another cliff out here that you have to reach to. And if I say your goal and your dream house or your goal is here, how will you reach here? And all of you all would say maybe we'll go down or we'll jump. I'll tell you what I did or what I visualized. I always visualized that there's a pack of hungry lions that is running towards me. And what I had to do to survive was to take the biggest leap of faith and jump to reach to the other side of the cliff. It was the survival. Along with that goal, it was the survival. And even today, all of those lions, every day, wake me up on time, make me work out, make me spend time with my team, enjoy life with my family, and keep every day the most important day of my life. With these lions, I'm not friends anymore, and I never was. I don't feed them. I let them roar. I let them be hungry, and I let them keep on running behind me. And I keep on creating more and more milestones, and I keep on jumping. There have also been failures on the way. It's not that every time you jump, you reach to where you want to, but that's how you learn. So one of my earlier failures in life, which was very embarrassing for me at that time, although I became a chartered accountant, but in class 11th, in my mathematics exam, I had a compartment. So I failed in mathematics. And my maths teacher said, you have to call your mother, she has to come, and we have to talk to her. So it was super embarrassing. And my mom knew that I wanted to become a chartered accountant, and she was like, Kapil, if you really want to become a chartered accountant, and if you're so bad in mathematics, you can let this dream go away. And a lot of my cousins and relatives actually had a candid chat with my mother that isko BCom, SheCom, kuch aur course karwa lo. CA is a different animal altogether. It is only for those nerdy people who are at 95% and above. Kapil ki bas ki nahi hai, he won't be able to do his CA. So this was another resolve that I'm sharing with all of you, is that astrologer Panditji episode and this mathematics episode, which was the failures in my life, actually made me more determined, and I think that brought the best out of me. It brought the best out of me, the metal within me came out. And the 3-4 years of that CA thing, it really kind of, I would say, shaped me up. Because I didn't take any dummy where I would sit at home and roll as a CA without going to work and study. I went for my classes, I went for my work, met the best of CFOs, attended audit committees, did all the audits, and learned so much. And that is what helped me out after when I became a chartered accountant in terms of how to slowly and steadily build my career. So I think this is one of my secret sauces are the lions. Please don't forget the lions. You can have your own type of lions. You can have snakes. You can have whatever you want to. But please ensure that they never sleep. And let them roar. Let them come after you. Your perseverance, your hard work will never go waste, is what I can promise you. If I have achieved this, being a guy who had as a compartment in class 11th, as a failure in that, luck will come to you at the right time when you never know it will come to you. But you need to keep on moving. You need to keep walking. You need to keep moving along. The moment you stop, your journey ends. Thank you.
अगर आप में से कोई सीए का कोर्स कर रहे हो और उनको थोड़ी प्रेरणा चाहिए कि ये कोर्स कैसे क्लियर करा जाए, तो ये ज़रूर ये वीडियो देखिए। और अगर आपको ये वीडियो पसंद आए तो इसको शेयर करिए अपने फैमिली, फ्रेंड्स और दोस्तों के साथ। अगर आपके कुछ कमेंट्स हैं तो ज़रूर लिखिए कमेंट बॉक्स में, और जोश टॉक्स का चैनल ज़रूर सब्सक्राइब कीजिए।